Hello movie watchers, welcome back to Indie Movie Guide. Today we're gonna talk about Potato Dreams of America. And with title like this, you kinda know that you're up for an out-of-ordinary experience. And indeed, this movie is really something. First of all, it's an autobiographical story of its director Wes Hurley, who was born under the name of Vasily Naumenko in the city of Vladivostok in Soviet Union. The movie consists of two parts. In fact, they are actually two different movies, and we're gonna talk about it a little bit later, but for now, let's focus on the story. First part is about Soviet childhood of Potato, and that's the main character's nickname. USSR of 1980s is portrayed as unforgivable, bleak, and brutal place. To be honest though, you can use this description for any period in Russian history, especially if we're talking about life outside of Moscow or St. Petersburg. And I'm telling you this from the first-hand experience because I as well was born in Soviet Union outside of Moscow. But in terms of genre, this part is not an existential drama. It's more of a grotesque dark comedy, which I absolutely love. We see the reality from the perspective of growing up boy who, for the record, and that's probably my only note on that, is way too smart for his age.
The red stands for all the blood that was spilled for the revolution. I won't wear your stupid communist bloodthirsty scarf.
But that's the only unrealistic thing in this part. Everything else, well, if you keep in mind that it's a grotesque dark comedy, is pretty accurate. Second part is telling the story about Potato's adolescence and young adulthood in the United States. And it's not a dark comedy anymore, now it's a realistic drama. So with this, we kind of run into two movie problem, and in this case, it is actually a problem. So I feel like I wanna just put them next to each other and talk about these two parts differently as they were a completely different movies. So let's talk about character development. In the first part, you feel right away who the characters are, what are their motivations, you can even see their perspective on things and relate to that, even if the perspectives are different. Potato is going through the process of self-realization with the help of quirky imaginary Jesus, and quirky imaginary Jesus is a good thing anywhere, I would say. Every significant character has some sort of a closure before the transition to the second part. And second part, well, that's where the problems begin. Because of the genre shift, characters need to change as well, and this transition do not go well in my opinion. Instead of being sharp and on point, now they just sort of stumbling around. Maybe the goal was to make them more realistic, but this is a movie after all, and movie should know what it's about. And in second part there's this problem of just too many themes mixed together. It's about attempt to fit in a new society and the problem of superficial acceptance, which is sometimes can be worse than just honest ignorance. But also it's about sacrifices mother is ready to make for the future of her son. And also it's about rigid social structure of gender norms that completely suppresses individuality and how harmful that suppression can be for a person, but also how much harm that person can inflict on the ones around them. And this is just the tip of the iceberg of themes that this movie tries to deal with here in the second part, which is only half of the movie. So the story gets really choppy and messy at the same time. Some of the characters that definitely set up to be important just abandoned after a few scenes. Others, instead of having a character arc, just change 180 at some point with absolutely no build-up. So in the end, it's very hard to sympathize with any of the characters anymore, because you simply don't understand who they are, and it's really frustrating. But also it's very ironic, because this part, second part, as I understand, was supposed to be adaptation of real experience of the author. So I guess it just faced all the problems that any adaptation would have, especially the adaptation of real events. It's just impossible to tell the real story in all entirety with all the small details. So the art of adaptation is to choose the details and parts of the story that will make it work. And unfortunately, it did not happen here. So with all that, would I recommend you to watch this movie? Yes, but just bear with me. What I recommend you to do is to watch first 39-ish minutes of the movie, so basically Soviet Union childhood, and then just skip to the mark of 1 hour, 29 minutes and 22 seconds, finish the movie and also watch the credits. And then just imagine the story that happened in between. And this way you're gonna have amazing, and I cannot stretch it enough, amazing extended short. But it's totally worth it. Because one thing that I didn't mention is the visuals of the first part. I just saved it for later. The way that sets for Soviet scenes were made is just one of the best creative low-budget solutions I've ever seen. It just hits the very sweet spot in between theatrical and cinematic format. Just can't describe how in love I am with those visuals. They obviously created with a lot of love, care, and the details you'll see there, well, just see for yourself. So let me know in the comments if you indeed watched this movie, and did you watch it full or did you watch it following my recommendations? What do you think? And this is all for now. See you next time.